Welcome to the American Small Business Institute. I'm Roy Williams, Chancellor of Wizard Academy, and this is Daniel Whittington. What do you do?
I'm a Chancellor of Vice.
And everybody needs one of those. Yeah. Daniel also is the director, besides being Vice Chancellor of the Academy, he's the director of the Whiskey Marketing School, which is basically storytelling and showmanship. Yep. But it's been incredibly successful for us here at the Academy. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to help you powerfully attract the right kind of people to your company, the right kind of employees and staff members that you really wish you had. And that same technique is going to repel the people you don't want. Mm-hmm. Now, branding is really just corporate culture made public, and it should begin with your ads for employment. Now, I'm old enough to use the term classified ads for employment because way back in the day, before the internet was a thing, all classified ads for employment were in the newspaper, and it was called the Help Wanted section. And my story about this technique begins way back there. But first, let's plunge forward into the big idea and a couple of examples. So tell us, Brother Whittington, what is the big idea?
The big idea is that bad advertising is about you, your company, your product, or your service.
You won't read about this job in the classifieds because I'm looking for an employee who's not looking for a job. Maybe it's you. Are you the kind of person who enjoys making other people happy? Do you genuinely care about the customers you serve and go out of your way to make sure that they smile? Do you find yourself doing extra things for the customer, not because someone told you to, but just because you like to? This is Richard Kessler of Kessler's Diamonds on the Beltline. We're opening a store in Madison soon, and I'm looking for someone exactly like you to add to the Kessler team. You don't need a fancy resume. Just go to KesslersDiamonds.com. It doesn't matter if you don't have any diamond jewelry experience. I can teach you that. What matters is that you have a deeply rooted commitment to the customer. Do you have such a commitment? If you think you're the right person, send us an email. We'll be glad you did. KesslersDiamonds.com. I'm Richard Kessler of Kessler's Diamonds on the Beltline, and I've got a fabulous career opportunity for you.
Now, here's what's important about what you just heard. That was a 60-second radio ad for recruitment for one of Richard Kessler's newer stores, and this was in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, the company is headquartered in Milwaukee. Then they opened a store in Appleton, and then they opened in Madison, and now they're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But Kessler's became unbelievably successful and famous for its staff. Yes, it's actually the sales staff, the associates at Kessler's that made that company into the juggernaut of the jewelry business that it is. Now, that 60-second radio ad is how Richard has attracted exactly the right people. Let me tell you how right they are. That company, first, one half of the very big company, was purchased by the employees in an ESOP. And then a few years later, the second half was purchased. And so now it's the only really big jewelry firm in America and probably the world that is 100% employee owned. Now, when you put together a team that's tightly bonded and that strong and that feels that happy together for long-term career employment, man, you attracted the right people. Mm-hmm. Now, Daniel, let's look at exactly how he did that. We're going to look at that ad right here. And by the way, you've got to make sure that your ad's not just about the customer, but how you're going to affect their daily world. Mm-hmm. Now, notice the words in red as Daniel reads this.
You won't read about this job in the classifieds because I'm looking for an employee who's not looking for a job. Maybe it's you. Are you the kind of person who enjoys making other people happy? Do you genuinely care about the customers you serve and go out of your way to make them smile? Do you find yourself doing extra things for the customer, not because someone told you to, but just because you like to? This is Richard Kessler of Kessler's Diamonds in the Beltline Center. We're opening a store in Madison. I'm looking for someone exactly like you to add to the Kessler's team. You don't need a fancy resume. Go online to KesslersDiamonds.com. It doesn't matter that you don't have any diamond jewelry experience. We can give you that. What matters is that you have a deeply rooted commitment to the customer. Do you have such a commitment? If you think you're the right person, send us an email. We'll be glad you did. KesslersDiamonds.com. I'm Richard Kessler, and I've got a fabulous career opportunity for you.
This is the important thing to notice about this ad. We made the job applicant see him or herself 20 times in 60 seconds by using the word you or your. And we asked 4 mirror questions. Now, this is a very simple idea, but it's not easy. Now, the simple idea is that you makes the reader, listener, or viewer see themselves doing what you want them to do. Now, that's the first step in getting people to take the action you want them to take. They have to imagine seeing themselves in that picture. They have to see themselves doing the thing you want them to do. Now, a focus question makes the reader, the listener, or the viewer feel like they're looking in a mirror. And they go, wow, is that me? Am I part of this scene? All right, now, Daniel.
Sir.
Did you notice that the word you or your appeared 20 times in just 60 seconds?
I noticed that I said it a lot.
Well, the point is, this is the way that you communicate to the customer, and that's the job applicant. When you're looking for the right person, don't talk to them about you, your stupid company, your idiot product, or all the awards you've won. You talk to them about them. And you want to make that prospective employee feel like, I was born for this job. I've got to get this job. I need to work here. These people are like me and I'm like them. And we're going to give you several examples of doing this, and we're going to show you how to do it in opposite ways. Before we go on, I'm going to tell you where this was born. It was almost 30 years ago, somewhere between like 1988 and 1991. I was working for a jeweler as an ad writer, and he was one of my clients. He was in South Cincinnati. Now, if you know Cincinnati, you know they don't call it South Cincinnati. They call it Northern Kentucky. And the people of Northern Kentucky, you cross the Big Mac Bridge, you cross the river, and bam, you're in Northern Kentucky. And the people there are very different, but they still read the Cincinnati paper. And my jeweler said, Roy, I know you're just mostly writing my ads for me, but I'm really been looking hard for a sales manager. And I've been putting the classified ad in there for the past several weeks. I'm getting very few responses, and the people that do contact me are just idiots. They're terrible, and I really need somebody. Can you figure out something maybe we could do differently? So I wrote an ad. Soon to be a major motion picture. It was a really long ad. And this is back when you had to pay for ads by the word count. And I convinced him, I said, look, go ahead and pay for this. The fact that it's a really long ad isn't bad. It's remarkable. And I said, it's also about the person you're looking for. And I used the word you many times, and I asked a series of focus questions. Now remember, back in those days, there really was no such thing as the internet. There was no such thing as Craigslist or Indeed or Monster.com. There wasn't even Google. There was nothing. And so online recruiting didn't even exist. Now here's the good news. These techniques have perfectly fit online recruiting. Nothing has changed except the vehicle of delivering these messages. Now, the next time I encountered a need to do something like this, I was speaking at a seminar to about 800 business owners in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This is like 25 years ago. And a young man approached me after the seminar, and he said, I'm a brand new real estate agent. And my job is to write classified ads, for people that are looking at houses. And then, they call up and they want to see the house. And we don't really care if they buy that house or not. We just want people that are interested in buying a house to call us, to call our agency. And I said, cool. And he goes, is there any tips you could give me about how to write classified ads for homes for sale? And I said, well, listen, there's this technique I've used a few times to hire people. And I think the same thing would work in real estate. He said, what is it? And I said, it's not about the house. It's about the kind of person who would live in such a house. And I gave him some examples. And then I was asked to come back the following year to Hershey, Pennsylvania, because it was a very successful event. And he approached me again. He says, do you remember me? And I said, man, I'm so sorry, I don't. And he goes, a year ago, I said, I'm a new real estate agent. I said, oh yeah, I remember you. And he said, I did what you told me. And he goes, now keep in mind, when you're the new guy at the agency, he says you have to write the classified ads for some houses. You put in a few classifieds and you try to get some calls. He said, now, the average classified ad was getting 3 or maybe 4 calls, tops, when we would insert it. And he said, but when I started doing what you suggested, he said we were always getting at least 200 calls per house. And my broker told me to quit doing that because I was doing it wrong. And it was supposed to say 3-bedroom, 2-bath. This really happened. Oh. And so what happened was, he said, it occurred to me, I can go to work for any broker in the city, and I think maybe this person is too stupid for me to work for. And so he says, I took that skill down the street to another brokerage I thought I might want to work for. I explained to them, hey, I can get you a couple hundred calls from every freaking classified ad we place of people that are, looking at houses. And they said, dude, you're like, and so he was incredibly, unbelievably successful a year later, and he goes, thank you for this. And so I want you to understand the idea is a real simple idea. It isn't about you, your company, your product, your service, or the job that you have to offer. And you never use language like, the successful candidate will have at least 2 years of college and, you know what I mean? It's that weird detached kind of a feeling. Most people do that because that's traditional wisdom. Sadly, it's far more tradition than wisdom. Do what I'm telling you. Let's look at another couple of examples. But first, let's look at the people that you're going to be hearing in this classified ad. Now, this is Shannon Wilson and her stepson, J.J. Wilson. Daniel, take it from the top.
All right. Tedious people need not apply. But you're not tedious, are you? You're curious. I like that about you. You decided to read this. You're fun, goal-oriented, and creative. You're upbeat, bouncy, optimistic, and passionate. But most of all, you're authentic. You decided at a very young age you didn't want to live a hollow life. You're smarter than most, but you're not so full of yourself that there's no room for anyone else. You like people, and you want them to like you. You're designing a life for yourself by setting goals and taking personal responsibility for whether or not those goals are reached. But you're at your best when working with a team. Like I said, you're a people person. That's why you're capable of handling difficult customer conversations with style and grace and charm. Coworkers are encouraged by your transparency and your optimism. You're a daily contributor to a positive team environment. You don't feel handcuffed by systems and processes, but you consider them to be tools that help you accomplish big things quickly. You have astounding customer service skills and a strong sense of personal style. You have a flexible schedule that allows you to work evenings, weekends, holidays, and special events if needed. A marvelous sense of humor and openness to receive feedback and offer the same to others. There's a rumor that you might even speak a second language. That's so cool. It isn't strictly necessary, but it's definitely impressive. Who are we? We're Kit and Ace. We make technical apparel for people living a real life. We take the best principles of athletic design and apply them to clothes you can wear all day. We don't like to bring it up because it makes us feel egotistical, but hey, we're past all that, aren't we? Here it is. We were named by Fast Company as one of their most innovative companies. We like who we are, and we like who you are too. Our showrooms are community hubs where locally designed art and furniture adorn vibrant supper clubs, mindfulness training sessions, and cocktail hours. As an educator, you'll be on the front line, making magic happen for all of our guests. Here are the details for the job. You'll teach our guests about technical fabrics and the hidden features and functional benefits of our products. You'll keep a mental log of stock availability on the sales floor and in the back room. You'll make sure every t-shirt, scarf, magazine, and flower petal are exactly where they belong, and you'll cheerfully tidy the showroom as needed. You'll receive and process stock from our warehouse. These boxes can weigh up to 30 pounds, but that's not a lot of weight for someone like you, am I right? You'll be responsible for unpacking, counting, tagging, folding, sizing, and placing new merchandise on the floor. You'll restock and price seasonal promotions. You'll return unsold items to the floor, always making sure they're properly sized and tagged. You'll prep pieces for tailoring and alteration, including any necessary documentation. And you'll use our point-of-sale system to take payments and issue refunds, exchanges, and gift cards. You'll participate in staff training and showroom events.
Now, here's where I want to take a short pause, Daniel, because notice every one of those things causes you to imagine yourself, to see yourself doing that thing.
I really do.
In other words, you want the candidate to have already done the job in their imagination while they are reading the ad for employment. And so this is the technique toward achieving that. Remember, a person can take no action that they have not first imagined doing in their mind. And so instead of talking to them about you and your company, talk to them about them and show them what it would feel like to work in the job that you want them to fill. Now let's go back to the ad.
The last section was the tedious part, the daily part. In other words, the last section was the job. We have it open. What we don't have is you. Are you coming?
Ha! Isn't that great? I wrote that. I am the most awesome ad writer in the history of the world. Let's be clear about that. Now, this idea right here, 46 times we use the word you or your, and we ask 4 mirror questions. Now, there's only 4 mirror questions in there, but we made them see themselves on the job.
Right.
All right. Now, this one is, this is Brian Scudamore, another client of mine. This is 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Now, this is a very different feel because we're going to include an origin story.
Ride in a truck and see the city. Are you a gracious host and entertainer? That may seem like a crazy question to ask when the job is basically lift and carry, but if you'll read a little further, you'll understand why I need to ask it. Are you a happy, upbeat person? Do people like to be around you? Do you have that cheerful, get-it-done type of grit and determination? Would you like to work for a company that believes in you and has big plans for your future? I dropped out of college when I discovered what I wanted to do. What I'm about to say may sound crazy, but I was waiting in a drive-thru line at McDonald's when everything around me began to glow. It was that famous moment you always hear about. You know, when the angels start to sing and you suddenly know the answer to every question. It happened when I saw an old pickup truck with the words junk hauling and a telephone number spray painted on the sides of the bed. I said, I could do that. My life changed forever in that moment. That's the sort of moment I want you to have. 1-800-GOT-JUNK is the world's largest full-service junk removal company. We're in every important city and town in the U.S., Canada, and Australia, and dozens of millionaires have made their fortunes in our company. I want that to happen to you, too. Don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you anything. You don't have to pay for any classes or buy any motivational tapes or anything goofy like that. I just want to give you a job. I just want to be part of your future. You're still reading? Excellent. I'm feeling better and better about you. A few months after my McDonald's moment, I had 5 trucks and 11 employees. We were making plenty of money, but I wasn't happy, not even a little bit. The company I saw in my mind that day wasn't the company I was running. Each morning I woke up a little more bummed out than I was the day before, and finally I went all into a little cabin at the seashore to see if I could figure out what was wrong. I experienced my second big moment in that cabin when I wrote down on a sheet of paper exactly what I had seen in my mind. Clean, shiny trucks, proud drivers with bright eyes wearing snappy uniforms, shirt tails tucked in, super professional. And when they knocked on people's doors, they were smiling. And the people that opened those doors were smiling too. After my experience at the seashore, I went back to my business and fired all 11 of the people who worked for me. It was the hardest thing I've ever done because I really liked every one of them, but they weren't the people I had seen in my mind.
Now, Daniel, let's pause right here, and here's why. Now, that was a long section there that wasn't really about the prospective employee. It was the origin story, and it was the deep core values of 1-800-GOT-JUNK and its founder, Brian Scudamore. Now, that section is inserted because what you just read makes it crystal clear how to get your ass fired.
Yeah, I was going to say, that to me is one giant red warning.
Yeah, what that is, it's kind of like danger, danger, Will
This
Robinson.
guy was willing to fire his whole company.
It's like, listen, and they were close friends of mine.
Yeah.
But that's how he's basically communicating to you how deeply he feels about this, and this is a non-negotiable condition of employment. And so now all of a sudden, remember, this is a filter. We're attracting the right people powerfully and repelling the wrong ones. Let's go on.
Are you beginning to understand my opening question? Are you a gracious host and entertainer? A gracious host is a person who makes everyone feel comfortable. An entertainer is someone who works hard to make sure everyone is having a good time. These are the people who make other people smile. If you're one of those people, and I think you are, here's what you need to do next. I want everything around you to begin to glow. I want you to hear angels sing.
Now, that ad, I mean, remember, this is a 1-800-GOT-JUNK and its 3 cousin brands are rapidly approaching $1 billion a year. 1-800-GOT-JUNK will do about $250 million by itself this year, and it's a stunningly successful company. And it's because, like Kessler's, they know how to attract and retain the right kind of people, the people who fit their brand, their company, their culture, and you need that too. Now, how many times did we hear the word you? 27.
27.
And how many mirror questions did we ask?
6.
All right. Now, but listen, so far, all these ads have been kind of informal, you know, upbeat, happy, perky, bouncy things, you know, and hey, you know, let's all be in this together. So, no, what if it's kind of a regimented, you know, process-driven job?
Yeah, what if you're hanging a bookkeeper?
A procedure.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like there's just a lot of companies where it's like, no, we all have it figured out. We just need you to implement precisely what we taught you using the exact words we taught you. We need you to simply be perfectly compliant and conform to our mold. Now, believe it or not, according to the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, that's about 38% of the United States.
Yep.
What they're looking for is a system to where they know in advance, if I do these things the way they're telling me to do these things, if I take the following steps in the correct order and I do it consistently, I will be rewarded and I will be successful.
I'll get my 6-month raise and my 12-month raise.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is there's about 38% of the population is looking for that kind of a job, and there's plenty of jobs like that. Now, they don't tend to be my clients. I do have some clients like that, so we're going to look at one of those now.
All right.
Okay? So this is, you're looking for a totally different kind of person than they were in the previous ads. And then as we go through the ad, you'll see how we're languaging this ad a little bit differently to accomplish that. Now, the company is Spence Diamonds, staggeringly successful across Canada, and now they're sweeping across the U.S. as well.
People in love are the happiest people on earth, and they're also our daily customers. Are you cheerful and easy to be around, but highly disciplined? Yes, we know that sounds like a contradiction, but those are the characteristics of our most successful sales associates. You have to be cheerful because, well, that's just who we are. And you have to be disciplined because we have a very precise and exacting sales process, the result of 30 years of research and refinement. You don't get to modify it, you get to implement it. Can we trust you to do that? The more a customer knows about diamonds, the more likely they are to buy from us. Your job is to make sure our customers know a lot about diamonds. We'll teach you everything you need to know to sell every style of engagement ring that has ever been designed. Diamonds and diamond jewelry are our only business. Can you see yourself selling diamonds? Our average sales associate made $83,000 last year. Not the top producer, the average producer. We're authentic and transparent. We accept complete responsibility. We never make excuses. Are you one of us? Company overview. Founded in Canada in 1978, Spence is recognized as one of Canada's 50 best managed companies and is among Canada's most admired corporate cultures. Frankly, this is a great place to work. We make shopping for an engagement ring over the top, customer friendly by displaying more than 3,000 designer ring prototypes in wide open showcases. Customers can pick up our rings and try them on and read the price tags without having to ask permission. No locked showcases, no barriers. You've never seen anything like it. Is this you? Do you have a track record of success in sales? Can you excel using a proven sales model? Do you possess strong presentation and closing skills? Are you an ambitious top performer? We are a high-performance organization, and we take great pride in what we do. Does that describe you too? Our process uses metric analysis and targeted coaching on an ongoing basis. Are you okay with that? Can you quickly establish positive rapport face-to-face? Can you present valuable products with confidence? Are you prepared to embrace and implement a highly detailed system of educational selling? You have a proven track record as an effective sales consultant in an inside or outside sales role, i.e. automotive, cellular, real estate, investment services, or office equipment, etc. You have at least 2 years of sales experience with measurable results, and you're detail-oriented and willing to embrace a structured process. You are highly disciplined. You have a natural energy and an outgoing personality. You are happy to work weekdays and weekends on a rotating schedule. We offer a lucrative salary plus commission, as well as comprehensive benefits. Like we said earlier, this is a great place to work.
Now, Daniel, did you notice how so many of those statements would strongly attract the right people and strongly repel others?
Oh yeah, too rigid, but at the same time, if you like that structure, you felt a feeling of relief.
Yes.
You weren't being asked to come in and be magical.
Right.
You were simply asked to come in and work your ass off.
Say, listen, we will teach you everything you need to know,
Yeah.
but you need to do it exactly the way we taught it to you. And so if you go back through that, and if you look at those words, all the words that demand conformity and compliance, things that it said exacting, and it's an exacting process. And so that idea of precision and application without variance, those are the deep ideas embedded in all the language of that ad. Again, it's about causing the right applicant to feel like they're looking in a mirror. And when you can do that, you need to use the word you and your, so you're talking to them about them. And then you weave in enough about what their typical day on the job will feel like, that they go, yes, I see myself in this job. I would love to work at a place like this. And so they bond with you before they even meet you. And they come in really wanting that job. Likewise, the people that wouldn't be a good fit, they were turned off by the job description itself.
Like, these sound like a lot of really uptight dudes.
So here's the thing. Now, We saw, how many times did we?
27 times.
We used the word you or your, and we asked 14 mirror questions. 14 questions that a person had to respond to. Now, this will be our last example.
I think it's funny that you wrote the copy to that, and you described it as uptight.
Yeah.
Instead of...
I did.
Because that's so uptight to you. You wrote your nightmare job description.
Yes, I did.
For yourself.
Yes, I would never go to work there. I love the company. I adore the company and its founder, Sean Jones. I really, really, really do. But Sean and I know that we're opposites, but I also understand him and his company well enough that I know how to speak that language. And so that's what writers do. You never write in your own words. You write in the words of your client, and in this case, Sean Jones. Now, that same idea is what I'm trying to teach you today. It's not about you, it's about the prospective employee. And you want to talk to them about them. And whenever I'm speaking in the voice of Sean Jones, I'm communicating his personality, his style, his beliefs, not my own. And so that idea of being a channel, not of your own thoughts, but of someone else's, that is mirroring. This idea that the prospective customer or the prospective job applicant sees themselves in your store doing what you want them to do, whether it's purchasing a product or selling that product on your behalf. Talking to customers, talking to prospective job applicants, exact same process. It's never really about you, it's about them and how the interaction between the two of you will make their lives better, richer, happier, more productive. It's how you sell products, it's how you hire employees. One last example, and got to tell you the funny backstory on this one. These are one of my very, very, very smallest clients. And this is Big Joe and Little Joe. Now, strangely, Big Joe is the shorter one, and he owns the company. It's in Rochester, New York. And he was in the office one day, and he sat down and he says, we got to put a little work on next year's ads. And I said, well, man, how far are we out right now when a person calls for an estimate? It's basically a remodeling company. I said, when a person calls for an estimate, how long does it take us to get to him, give him that estimate? He says, well, we're between 4 and 5 weeks out right now. I said, exactly. I said, hang on a second. So our close rate's probably declining too. And he goes, oh yeah, close rate is terrible because half the time, by the time we get to them to do the estimate, they've already hired somebody else to do the job.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, you don't need different ads, man. What you need is you need to hire more people. And he goes, yeah, it's really, really hard to do and everything. I said, no, look, shut up, sit down. And so those doors, those little weird stained glass doors, those are actually the doors into my conference room. And I said, Big Joe, Little Joe, stand up right there. And so I took that photo with my cell phone and I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write an ad and we're going to post that ad on Craigslist in Rochester before you leave this room. And that's all we're going to do today is we're going to help you hire more multi-skilled craftsmen because he didn't have enough people. He didn't have enough people to do the jobs. He was just drowning in too many opportunities. And for every business owner thinks that more traffic or more calls is somehow going to fix the problem. I'm going, no, that is the problem.
When you can double your income by close rate, no need to write new ads.
Exactly. It's like so. I said, look, Joe, our goal is to be able to get out there, like the same day they call. Or the next day, and give them an estimate, And I said, it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks crap. That's killing us. And so he saw it. As soon as I pointed it out to him, he saw it. Now, this is a company I would work for because I'm kind of a blue collar guy at heart. I grew up, working construction and in steel shops, and so fabrication of stuff with wood and with metal, and so that's really second nature to me. That's why it's actually been a lot of fun for me to spend these past, how many years have we been building Wizard Academy? 2004, about 13 years.
Yeah.
Past 13 years, building this 32-acre campus has been an absolute delight for me. And as soon as I'm done in another year or two, I'm going to resign as chancellor and turn it over to Whittington here, who is uptight enough to actually be an administrator. Really, he is. He lays awake at night just nervous about all the things that haven't been done yet. And that's why I adore him.
That's why I'm bald.
Yeah. And so people do ask me sometimes, they go, what's the deal? Everybody that works for you is either bald or they have a beard or if you really want to be one of the senior people, you have to be bald. You have to be bald and have a beard. All right, now, I love this company. I love this classified. And after we show it to you, I'm going to show you one of the first responses we got to it. And I think that will have helped us make our point. All right, Brother Whittington.
All right. Do you want to work for people who trust you? Do you prefer to work with someone looking over your shoulder? Could you remodel?
Whoa. Do you prefer to work without someone?
Without
someone.
Yeah, that was.
You need to start over.
I'm starting over because as I said it, I said that doesn't make any sense.
All right, now.
That's because I read it wrong.
All right, go ahead.
Do you want to work for people who trust you? Do you prefer to work without someone looking over your shoulder? Could you remodel an entire bathroom on your own? Lay the tile, reroute the plumbing, pour a shower pan, paint the trim so cleanly that you don't even need to tape it off? Can you duct the exhaust fan, install the in-floor radiant heat, replace the window, and install a skylight? Cut miter joints so tight they don't need to be caulked? Run a finish nailer in your sleep? That's what we call a skilled multi-trade craftsman. Do you have people skills? Will the homeowner bake you brownies because they love you so much? We'll give you a new company truck to drive. You'll get birthdays off and paid vacation time. No one will watch over your shoulder, and we guarantee you 40 hours a week. Our top-tiered skills craftsmen are making over $60,000 plus bonuses with no overtime. Our lesser skilled craftsmen make about $40K plus bonuses with no overtime. Gosh, this is a great place to work. We're turning away good jobs right now because you don't work for us yet. As soon as you get here, we can start saying yes to these opportunities. Our only limitation right now is skilled manpower. How good are you? Convince us. Tell us about yourself. Use your words. Please don't send us that same boring resume you're sending everyone else. Tell us your story. Tell us what you've done and how long you did it and what you liked best and what you liked least. What's the catch? Well, if you don't read this posting thoroughly, hint, hint, we will not read your resume. If we provide a truck you can drive home at night and drive your kids to school with in the morning, you'll need to have your own basic tools, but you do, of course, because you are a skilled multi-trade craftsman. You, my friend, are awesome. That's why you probably already have a job, but this job is way better. If you work for yourself, this is your lucky day. We do the advertising, we do the paperwork, we pay for the job insurance, we order the supplies, we supply the vehicle, we buy the gas, we pay for the materials, we do the scheduling, and we'll even provide a laborer if you need one. You just show up with your mad skills. You don't need to be able to do calculus and speak French, but morons, whiners, idiots, goobers, lazy people, and drama queens need not apply. And you must appreciate authentic Italian food because you may occasionally be called upon to eat it. And if you think Olive Garden is great Italian food, this job is not for you. Obviously, this is a fun place to work, and the people who work here love life. Are you one of us? You've got a clean driver's license. You can lift more than 50 pounds. You work well alone and with others. No addicts, abusers, or excuse makers. Basically, no riffraff. But that's not you, right? We value thoroughness and the ability to focus, so we're putting a special word in this paragraph to weed out the sloppy people, half-hearted people, inattentive people, and people without a sense of humor. Anyone skimming through job descriptions and blindly blasting out resumes won't see this line. But you're actually reading this job description, aren't you? Nicely done. Put the word marinara in the subject line of your reply, and we'll give your resume the same respect you've given this job description. We'll actually read it. Any application that does not have marinara in the subject line will go directly into the trash, along with the Olive Garden food.
Okay, now let's take a quick pause here because let's look at what we just did. Now that's called a filter word. And here's the reason you probably want to do that, because in the days of Monster.com and Indeed and Craigslist, here's what's happening. And it's basically being done by all of the millennials that give the other millennials a bad name. Okay? Really. What they do is they just go down through there and they just hit click, 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 and they're just firing off resumes. Okay? Without even reading really the job description. They just see what it pays, they see some numbers, bam.
And a lot of the job systems are designed for that.
Oh, yeah. And so what happens is, if you don't have a filter word that has to be in the subject line, then you're going to spend an enormous amount of time calling and scheduling and doing phone interviews to see if you maybe want to do a face-to-face interview and whatever. And you very quickly realize you're not interviewing them for a job. They're interviewing you. And they go, tell me about this job. How much will I make?
What are you going to do for me?
What are you going to do for me? And it's like, you're sitting there going, look, idiot, did you not read the freaking ad. And the fact is they didn't.
You know where this was done in music? So you know the famous thing that everybody likes to joke about, I only want red M&Ms in my green room.
Right.
Right. The first band to really do that, and I can't remember the name of them right now, but they put it in there. You know, all this writer is crazy long, and there was a thing in there about only a certain color M&Ms.
Right.
It had nothing to do with M&Ms.
Right.
What it was they had a technical setup on stage that involved pyrotechnics and electricity and all this stuff.
Right.
And if it was not done correctly, it could kill someone. And so they knew if they walked into their green room and they only had red M&Ms, they knew that the promoter had read the writer and that they could trust the stage setup.
Right.
And if they went into the green room and it had just a pile of M&Ms, they knew they probably weren't, they're going to need their team to check all the technical setup to make sure no one died.
Yeah.
It's a canary in the coal mine.
It's a canary in the coal mine. And so that is a technique you can use. And you just have your own word, but you don't put it at the top of a paragraph. You bury it in the middle of a paragraph. And what happens is you're going to find only like 1 out of 4 or 5 people will include your filter word, your code word. And trust me on this. The smart thing to do is when you get something by email from somebody that didn't include that word, just hit delete. Don't open it, don't read it. It's not going to work out well for you. And so this will save you an enormous amount of time. And so it's the last weird technique I'm going to give you. But you will get so many applicants when you write these kinds of descriptions that you can be that fussy about requiring real engaged participation in the ad itself. Now let's finish this ad.
We need you to be ready to wear multiple hats. If something needs doing, we need you to be the kind of person that jumps in and helps. And we support each other here. No one ever, ever says, that's not in my job description. Are you willing to learn new things? You are? Great. We'll make sure you get the opportunity. Sorry. I swallowed wrong on that one too. We'll make sure you get the opportunity to learn cool things and do cool jobs and make great money.
And then you give them the deal. Now,
60 times.
that's what I'm saying.
Jeez.
60 times we use the word you or your because it's about the reader. It's about the job applicant. It's about the person we're looking for. And 21 mirror questions. I said 21 mirror questions. And now this ad, we want people to understand this is a lighthearted, fun place to work. We use a lot of humorous words. We included the filter word, which was pound marinara. We motivated the filter word with some, taking some little cheap shots at Olive Garden. Now, I told you we're going to give you an example of how well this works, and then we're going to wrap up this video. Has this been a fun video?
It has been fun.
You know what? This has been so fun that for those of you who are engaged in your very first American Small Business Institute video, you need one of these every month.
That's right.
And so the 1 hour, what do we call that? Webcast?
Yeah, we call it the live webcast.
Yeah, we do an hour every month if you get in at the highest level, and you get to send in questions. And your specific questions are answered. If it's a good question, we answer it for the world and give you some detailed feedback. And people learn from the questions that other people ask. And sometimes we'll have a theme like today where we teach something, but usually it's a smaller thing that we teach. And then the weekly, if you get in on the big hour-long deal every month.
Yep, then you're included in those weekly.
The weekly, you get a little short thing from some luminary or some celebrity that we know that passing through the academy that's going to share a tip with us. So you get a short one every week. The short ones are what, like anywhere from 6 to 15 minutes?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the long one is a 1 hour thing once a month. And so you're getting like 5 videos a month. That's awesome. And then this is a bonus video for people that were already subscribing.
They're already getting
at the highest level. They're getting this just as a bonus video this month. So you really need to consider joining ASBI. But now, the coup de grace. How well does this work? Okay, you saw what our very, very small, well, it's millions of dollars a year, but for us it's a very small client, our remodel guy, okay? You saw the ad that he put on Craigslist. Daniel, do the honors here.
Good morning. Sit back, relax, and listen to the story about Jim McHugh Sr. and his son, Jim McHugh Jr. We appreciate not having to send you an awful resume to attempt to communicate our skills, personality, and passion. Currently, we are traveling the East Coast. If you have ever been away from your family for work, you know that this gets old quick. We are currently laying tile, installing steel stud drywall and countertops for different retail locations. We would like to come back and work the Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse area to be back home with our families, because family is the most important thing to us. We would love to be able to provide for our families while working locally. 3 years ago, we had enough work to keep us busy for quite some time with a 3-month waiting period. Things were going good. We were making money to pay the bills and stay home. In order to secure the jobs, we were giving phenomenal prices, and this caused us to cut the funds that we needed for advertising. What do we like the most? We like to work. We love kitchens and bathrooms and everything that comes with it, from design, demo, relocation, drywall, plumbing, electric, tile, etc. What do we like the least? Not working. We don't like being unprepared. We don't like messy job sites. We really prefer not to do roofing. Because we're currently working for ourselves, we are all set up with brand new vehicles and a full collection of tools. We do not need to be provided with vehicles. I have been doing this work for over 35 years. I take great pride in my jobs, and I'm passing this on to my son. We enjoy the relationships we've built along the way. Now, on the lighter side, you talk about Italian food. My mother and father owned Arcara's Italian import stores and McHugh's Grocery on Ridgeway Avenue for over 40 years. This little old Italian lady has passed down recipes and taught me things that a 5-star chef would die to learn. They made over 1,500 pounds of Italian sausage a week and sold it to all the restaurants and stores in the city. Talk about homemade old school pizza. My wife learned from my mother, and people say it's the best in the city. We make homemade manicotti. And talk about nice homemade marinara sauce to go on that pizza. It's mouthwatering. To this day, I still make homemade holiday Italian sausage for all my friends and family. And I'm teaching my son the old school way, not only in life, but in business and everything we do. And that old school way is to take pride in everything that you do. Be the best at it and always respect everyone around you. So when you go to sleep at night and you put your head on that pillow and you're thinking in your mind what you do to someone else, but how you helped I missed that one.
What you did to someone else.
What you did to someone else, but how you helped someone. I have told him that as long as you keep these values, you will do well. To sum everything up, you guys sound like a lot of fun. How about we really go outside the box here? Come to my home, see my work, let me cook a real Italian meal for you. We hope you take us up on the offer. Did he put marinara in the subject line?
Yes, of course.
Hell yes, he did.
Of course he did.
We look forward to hearing from you, and you can reach me at best regards, Jim Sr. You talked a guy out of his own business.
Exactly. So what happens is, so this guy, now remember, when you do this correctly, you don't have to reach the target. Because whoever sees the ad, they're looking at job and goes, this is not the job for me, but I know who needs to work for these people. I know the guy they're looking for. This is called reaching the influencers, not just the target. I teach strongly that one of the biggest mistakes in advertising is to believe that you need to reach the right people. Listen, nobody has ever failed because they were reaching the wrong people. People fail because they're saying the wrong things. When you're saying the right things, and you're not trying to target the right person, but you're going to reach your target anyway, because mass media, unfiltered mass media, untargeted mass media is astoundingly more efficient, more cost-effective, less money than targeted media. So you get the influencers, you get their friends and neighbors, the husbands and wives, the cousins and the aunts and the uncles and the coworkers and associates. You get colleagues and coworkers, all the influencers of your target, and whenever they read something this specific and this entertaining, guess what they do?
Forward it to everybody they know.
They forward it to everybody they know, especially, I know who needs to work for these people. I know exactly who they're looking for.
Yep.
And so they, even if that person already has a job, they go, you need to read this. Sounds like the company that you really would be comfortable with or happy with, or you've been complaining about your job a little bit, and these guys sound like exactly what you're looking for. So hopefully you've learned something today. Have they learned something today?
I think so.
I think they've learned something today. And we do hope
I can see it on their faces.
Yeah, so can I. And so we hope you will consider joining us at the American Small Business Institute. It is the online training division of Wizard Academy. And go to wizardacademy.org and see if you are one of us. Say goodbye, Daniel.
Goodbye.